Free PMS Delivery. Dangote rolls out 4,000 CNG-powered trucks. Today, of course, we'll look to see how this will impact on the oil and gas industry. There have already been some concerns by some marketers whether they are going to be pushed out of the business. That is their major worry. Let's go into the conversation. I'll be joined in the studio by Professor Ken Ife. Is an economist who has deep knowledge in the oil and gas sector. Good morning, Prof.
Thank you for having me.
Glad to have you again. Dangote refinery, the day is the D-Day, when the 4,000 trucks, CNG powered, are expected to be rolled out today to begin the PMS distribution to retail outlets. How effective do you think this move is going to be?
Well, it's going to be a day of answered prayer for 230 million Nigerians and to 42 million MSMEs in the country. And why do I say that? For most of them, this is a day that they will never forget. It's a day that the yoke and all the shenanigans around fuel distribution, fuel storage, and fuel price regulation will all come to a head. Now, there's another thing there. It is a great day for the economy of our country, because it is a day we can actually point at when President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has effectively transferred subsidy from public sector to private sector. This is 1.7 trillion naira private sector investment. For government to do this, it will cost the government not less than 5 trillion to do exactly what it's doing for 1.7 trillion. And it will never be delivered in the time scale it's delivered. When government gets involved in something, it takes forever.
But it
costs many times more.
But that is more particular to government of Nigeria.
Oh, of course, because everything that can go wrong has gone wrong in the Nigerian oil industry, and couldn't be the same when you look at Saudi, you look at all the other countries that have oil and how they have managed their affairs. Nigeria is just a chronic case of Dutch disease, and all other things that can go wrong have actually gone wrong in the country. But be as that may, God's time is always the best. And we now have a time when the PIA is now being fully implemented by a president that is conscious, who is a private sector man. He knows what he's doing. And then he has effectively moved this subsidy from public sector to private sector. And private sector is meeting the challenge by saying it's not going to cost you anything. It will cost me to let you have breathing space. And now look at the dimensions of the challenge to the population. If you bring that 1.7 trillion and divide it by 230 million Nigerians, they will all be getting 7,500 naira each. If you look at 40 million families in Nigeria, they'll be getting 42,000 naira. If you look at 42 million businesses, 40,000 naira each. But it's not just that money, it is what this does to their business. It grows their business, it enables them to create more employment, it enables them to, in fact, people can confidently invest in the Nigerian oil sector, downstream sector, because they have seen signs of stability and seen supply chain resilience. And those are the things that make investors want to come. The inflation will now take a break, because these are the things that jump up and down, cause more inflation, transport costs, all of that. And then there are a constituency we should never forget, which is the oil marketers and the retailers. What do I say about them? For them, it is a new lease of life, because there are many of them in the rural areas that can't get fuel. Now you can get fuel everywhere. And then some of the companies that complain, that have the worst exposure to this, are those mission critical companies. Aviation sector, you go to the airport, the light goes off. It should never go off in an aviation sector, in an airport. You go to hospital. Why would light go off in hospital? Because where they have intensive unit, patients are on intensive care. Why would you have telecom? Your call can't complete because they couldn't get fuel to maintain the generator. So it's not just about availability of fuel, but affordability of the fuel, and then the timeliness of the delivery of the fuel to them, and the entire supply chain resilience. That's what kills these businesses. That's why they cannot be productive.
But Prof, given the complexity of Nigeria, do you think Dangote has the capacity to deliver PMS to every nook and cranny of this country? There are some retail outlets in my village. Can Dangote refinery trucks get to those places?
The truck, first of all, 4,000 CNG trucks.
4,000 is a lot of numbers.
It's a lot. You're talking about how many of them, at least over 100 of them going to every state. 4,000, how many local governments do we have? 7, 8, 4 local governments. You are thinking about 6 of them going to a local government. What are we talking about? On a regular basis, what are we talking about delivery? And secondly, we have other trucks in the system that could actually do last mile. So wherever it is delivered in some local governments, in satellite towns, they could do last mile to the remotest village. But that's not the same as it was before. But many of the petrol stations were closed down, couldn't even get fuel. And when they get fuel, they are completely at the mercy of whatever price it was delivered to them. And all these petrol stations, they don't make 50 naira in a liter. But look at the spread between the price leaving the gantry at 820 and then getting sold at 1,200. What is going on? And then if you look at the 820, how they share it, the refinery, the pipeline, the delivery, the people harvesting, drilling the crude, all of them share that small money. But somebody there called a middleman collects over 400 naira. And then the man that actually puts the petrol in your tank only gets less than 50 naira per liter. So that's not on. And now this is an opportunity.
But Prof, if you talk about the number of liters, if let's say 4,000 CNG powered trucks now is loaded with PMS, if you count the number of liters inside, it's huge. It's a huge number.
500,000 liters per station.
Compared to somebody, compared to somebody who is buying like maybe 33,000 liters, as the case may be.
And how long does it take that 33,000 liters to arrive? So some stations will be empty for 2 weeks waiting for that 33,000 to come. And then some of the customers we are supplying, look at the base stations. Look at all the companies and their base stations, and they have 2 generators standing by and tank, and then the fuel finishes, they can't transmit. And how long are they waiting? And when the fuel ever comes, what price do they pay? You know, these things are not rocket science. They are facts that stay on our face, where all the problems and troubles arise. And this has been piloted in December last year to show that it is doable, it is practicable, and it delivered results. But somebody paid that bill. The Dangote paid over 10 billion for that pilot in December. And we saw the result. No queue in any station. Fuel was available, accessible, at a constant price across the country. That happened in December.
Was it a case of availability or lack of affordability? Because many Nigerians had to park their vehicles.
No, you park.
You have less cars now going to look for fuel.
No, the thing is this: when people want to play silly burger, they hold the fuel to create artificial scarcity, and then me and you start queuing up, and or when the substandard fuels come in, and the ethanol was too high, then people scramble. Did it not happen? We saw that happen. And then nobody's talking about sulfur content. The limit is 50 parts per million by ECOWAS standard from January this year, 30th of January. Are we not importing many times higher quantity of sulfur per million? The engines are knocking. The car engines are knocking. The generators are knocking. And nobody's saying anything about those. The human cost, the productivity cost for what we are seeing is incredible. So now we have an opportunity to reorganize that sector, to make it more efficient, and without prejudice to other entrants into the industry. Without prejudice.
Indeed. A lot in that sector to discuss, actually. But let's look at the projects and how it's going to revolutionize the oil and gas sector. It's more like a new revolution. And this revolution, there are already fears among the marketers major marketers and, of course, the Ipman and a whole lot of them who are saying that if Dangote is allowed, he may eventually monopolize the oil and gas sector and, of course, push some of them out of business.
That's not true, and that's totally unfounded. As we speak, the monopoly that we have seen and experienced in Nigeria has been NNPC. That's the monopoly we have seen and experienced, and the experience isn't a happy one. Everybody suffered under that. Well, they were in the upstream, they were in the midstream, they were in the downstream, and they have refineries that are not working, so they opted to be importing refined products and exclusively exporting the crude. And then we suffered. All the problem of Nigerian central bank started from when the NNPC stopped remitting $3 billion every month to central bank because they were doing crude swap and they had monopoly. So that's where all the problem started. And then you've seen here it ended in 33,000 trillion ways and means money being printed. That's where the whole problem started. And then you now saw moving forward where Nigerian government had to borrow 500 billion naira every month to pay a subsidy. When all your crude goes out, all that comes out PMS, out of so many products that could have come in, and then we're paying through our nose. And thank goodness, Tinubu stopped all that. And then not only that, he stopped that bleeding of the public sector purse, but he transferred that to private sector. And then what are we talking about? Every other member of the private sector should pull their weight. Those who are complaining, you've mentioned their names, why don't they have a modular refinery? We have over 100 small.
The licenses that were given out. We have oil fields that are under 50 million barrels, and then you have opportunity for modular refineries that cost $75 million to $100 million. Any of these oil companies you mentioned could start 3 or 4. Do you think
and then they will use their tank farms
do you think the regulatory
to
framework
stored product and they can export?
What about the regulatory framework? Is it streamlined to allow them to do so?
No, the people are already doing that. At least 3 modular refineries have started, and then nobody is really restricted. Licenses were issued to many. They are now beginning to consider revoking some of them because they haven't done anything. The prices are deregulated to the point that it's profitable for them. But the fact is that people are choosing to remain in their comfort zone. Why the population suffers, why the industries bleed, and why the economy couldn't post growth, sufficient growth, and people cannot be employed. That's because they want to stay in their comfort zone. You have a lifeline to enable your members to get into business. And it's still without prejudice to you exercising other options.
Prof, what about those who have accused Dangote of more like somebody like to monopolize markets? Some use the fertilizer industry as a case study. Now, when it came in, almost all the fertilizer companies went down. Is that going to be the case with the oil and gas sector?
I don't know about that. He's in cement and succeeded in reversing Nigerian capacity.
Cement, I meant to say.
Wait a minute. Nigerian capacity was about 20% of our need. Now we are now to the point of export. In fact, we're exporting clinkers from Nigeria to many countries in Africa.
I was referring to cement actually.
That is now, is Bua not in cement industry? Has it been eliminated? Is this guy? If I'm trying to remember, Ibeto, is it not in the cement industry? How about the Portland cement? There are other players.
But in terms of percentage, their percentage
it's not about
involvement.
percentage. It's how are they not there active? And then if you talk of oil and gas, is NNPC not having 4 refineries? So where is the monopoly? Is it Dangote that is stopping NNPC
the refineries are they working? They are not working.
It's their business, but they have a installed capacity. So how can you say the man that has an installed capacity that because his own is working, then all those ones who have installed capacity that are not working should stop producing or what? And then nobody in this country has a monopoly of, first of all, the law of breaking the law. The law in PIA law does not allow you, just because you have a refinery or you are trading in crude, to import substandard products into the country. The law does not allow you to violate that law. Because after all, Dangote could import fuel. After how much crude are you giving him? He can import. He has enough money to import crude fuel and then sell it in the country. You couldn't stop that. But he chose to create jobs at home. He chose to prove that Nigerians can have economic sovereignty. And he's making that investment. And then he's having to move to a field where he's saying, look, I want to take over the subsidy. I want to mean something to Nigerians. 230 million and 42 million MSMEs. And he's meaning it. And then the people are screaming. What are you screaming about?
But the truth is that Nigerians are not screaming. Nigeria actually welcomed this new idea
No, and
new plans. And the end goal is indeed if the price of PMS come down to a reasonable level, which is what Nigerians are expecting.
Which is going on, which is happening right now.
We hope that to happen in the long run.
30 has removed from the price. And it's coming down. And I told you in this your program that, touch wood, that money, that thing will come under 800. It will come under 800. I've told you that in your program.
Many Nigerians I have spoken to are looking at 500, 400.
It will come down.
If it's going to be possible. Because as it is, the landing cost has already been eliminated. If Dangote is going to deliver PMS directly to retail outlets, it means you don't need to pay for landing costs anymore or to go to any depot to go and take fuel.
Let this country give Dangote the 650,000 barrels that he requires. And then you see how the price will not collapse. Give him what he needs, not give him 70,000 barrels out of a capacity of 700, and you're expecting miracles. Give him what he needs, and then you see what will happen to the price of that fuel.
Now we understand that the refinery is already operating at about 85% capacity. Based on imported product that he is getting from.
And then he's paying for transportation of those crudes from America. Is it fair? Of course it's not fair. And yet the same America is buying his truck, is buying tankers loads of his refined product, and Saudi Aramco and many countries in Africa showing confidence in the quality of the product. And yet we are importing products where both NNPC and NMDPRA cannot build an international standard laboratory to check the standard of what is the products being sent into this country. Neither do they know the quantity being consumed by the country. This is their first and second task.
All right. As we continue now, of course, the bottom line is the refinery should serve the people. But let's look at the plan now, the distribution plan. Nigeria has 6 geopolitical zones. But if you're looking at the population, it varies from zones to zones. So how will you advise Dangote? What kind of model do you think you should deploy in this new distribution plan?
Well, the model we have seen is come and register with me and we'll supply to you. Okay? So that is the first option he has given. If a fair representation of the petrol stations and all the distribution come and patronize him, he has no problem because he will just respond to the demand. But if they try to gang up against him, he has enough muscle to enter into the retail chain. I'm telling you, and it will not going to be easy. He reserves his right to go and sell his products, which he makes. You cannot dictate for somebody who has invested $20 billion what to do with his products. He must export them for what? Why? Why would you do that? He has the right to sell the products that he is entitled to sell because he has produced them. So destroy his business and then import on substandard product and feed this country it's not an option. It's not an option. What we will have to see is we'll just have to wait and see how the distribution plan fans out, because he may be red herring. There may be excess capacity to absorb what he has, and then there's room for others to augment. He doesn't need to go into retail unless you start ganging up against him and then start making him feel that his investment is worthless. Then there will be a fight. And that fight will be one where the 230 million Nigerians and 42 million businesses will join the fight. Because it is their interest that is being protected, and there's been fairness to everybody to enter into this fray and do good business out of this. If I was running one of these retail chains, I would make a proposal to Dangote, say, look, pilot with me. I want to use 500 of your trucks to supply to one region. Let's do it as a pilot for 1 year. I will save you money. You don't need to employ this director. You've invested on these trucks. Let us use it for you and pay you, save you money. And this positive proposal can go out. And I'm sure he will listen, because whatever he wants to see how you reduce his cost and how you improve his profit. given the investment that he has made.
Do you think the complaints of major marketers, some of the petroleum stakeholders in recent times is more like a gang up against Dangote, or they are expressing their fears because many of them have been in this business for a long time?
This company was threatened before they started producing anything that we have the control of the distribution network. You have to talk to us. You have to go through us. That was what he experienced in the beginning. That was what he experienced. He experienced a standoff. You can't sell your product in this country because we control the distribution network. So he now had to make arrangement with MRS and one or two others to start helping him put his product out. Not that he doesn't have the capacity. If you can spend 1.7 trillion, he can use that money to put fuel station in every local government. But that was not the course that he chose. And then to have these 100 gas stations is not what he needs, but is to begin to open up the gas business for others to change their cars and trucks to gas, and they reduce costs.
Indeed. Now, Prof, let's look at the production costs. The cost of PMS before now, when we're importing, it cost a lot more. But with the coming of Dangote, that cost has been reduced drastically. Don't you think with the reduction in the cost of production, although Dangote is a businessman and of course he needs to recoup his money, don't you think we will still have less in terms of prices of PMS, as the case may be?
No, I believe that as long as we maintain the Naira to crude policy, even at the risk, if we have any problem with OPEC, we will just get out of OPEC and go to OPEC plus. And if there's a problem, we'll just leave. Other countries, are they not leaving? OPEC is not it's not a means to, it's only a means to an end. But that policy is in PIA, Naira to crude. As long as we maintain that and give him enough crude to run his refinery, I promise you that the price will keep coming down. You are not even comparing like to like. When all these stories that tell you about shipping costs and all these landing costs of substandard product, and you are talking about premium product, they are not the same price. These products that you are bringing in that cannot be accepted in Belgium, in the country, sold in the country because they fall short of the international standard. They are dumping it here at prices that are so low, but you are talking to us about the premium price. It's not. And we're not talking. We're not comparing like to like.
Prof, do you think NNPC, as currently constituted, has the capacity to give Dangote 650,000 barrels of crude per day? Given all the agreement that they have entered with loans they have taken using crude.
You are doing 1.8 million barrels a day. And then you tell me that you cannot give 20%.
Now I think we're around 1.58 million barrels per day.
You're telling me that even with that, you cannot give 1/3 of that to a local refining capacity. That is what you are telling me. How much do we have to give to Afrexim? I mean, it's just a conspiracy that will not stand.
Indeed.
And don't forget that if Dangote goes into crude production, he has the capacity to go into crude production in a very big way. You can stop him.
He can buy oil wells.
He can buy some of the firms involved in that.
Indeed. Prof, as we begin to wind down on this conversation now, one area that I want us to just quickly speak to is the recent controversy at the NNPC, where it was rumored that the group GCO has resigned. Later, another letter surfaced that no, he has not resigned, and so many other controversies within that sector. It's a sector that you have spoken against for a long time as a sector that needs to be unbundled or
absolutely.
Take to the stock market, as the case may be, go public. What do you think we're having that kind of controversy with, say, a big oil company, national oil company like NNPC over the years?
NNPC has lost their way because they're chasing shadows. First of all, since you are in the midstream, they're in upstream, midstream, and downstream. I don't know what they're doing in midstream because you have 4 refineries that have outlived their usefulness. You've tried to put them up for privatization, nobody's interested. You've asked people to come and co-locate new refineries, they're not interested. and they are not working in any case, but you are still maintaining overheads, paying salaries. Get rid of those because you are deceiving the public. You've burnt over $10 billion over the last 10 years. You burnt $3.5 billion in just 2 years to repay it, and it is not working. You are producing naphtha, you are not refined food, and in fact you are importing. Stop that. Let other people take over that business. Secondly, I don't know what you are doing in downstream. You have NNPC stations. What are they doing? You are not supplying them stations, you are importing. That is not business. And don't tell me that as a government-owned private company, you think you have a right to import against the law substandard products. And you can't actually import them without the law meeting the requirement that there must be a deficit in local production capacity. So it's just there as a troublemaker. It should focus on upstream business. It should focus on joint venture with floating LNG, which could be giving you $200 million every day, that revenue from there. He has to focus on supporting frontier basins, because we have crude everywhere in the country. In the shale region, Benue shale, we have Nasarawa, we have everywhere. Put money there so that they don't even need to ship their product anywhere. They will do refinery there in situ. Put there. Look at now Saudi Aramco and Brazil. Petrobras. See what they are doing. These are your peers you can compete with. Bring mega investment into the industry. Yes, the IOCs have left onshore and gone offshore, but also attract them back to prospecting, so that they have a job cut out for them, and then shed all this fat that is making you trap subsidy. 50% of the subsidy Tinubu unleashed from May 2023, only 50% came to him. And this Gideon had to give some to governors and small to here, to CNG, master plan, this, that, nothing. These guys trapped the money, burning it in inefficiency operations. You don't have to carry those debt. That was why Murphy was set up. To refine. When we were setting up Murphy, it was because we were looking at the assets we are going to inherit from NNPC going into private, and then we are now have to reorganize it. We have Ministry of Finance Incorporated, and then we have I was a governing council, Federal Presidential Governing Council. So we reorganized all that, hoping that they will behave themselves. They're not behaving themselves. So I said they should go to capital market.
But they said they are not ready.
Because it's only you go to capital market that sense will come into you. What happened? When Saudi Aramco went to capital market in 2019, their value was $1.5 trillion. 2 years after entering the market, their value went up to $2.3 trillion, the most capitalized company in the world. And NNPC is still here, fighting everybody, causing problem everywhere.
But in terms of corporate governance, Saudi Arabia, they fully adhere to corporate governance.
If they don't, they won't have the take-up of their shares.
But that is the problem.
They won't have all the big
that
boys
is the problem with NNP. That's the problem with NNPC. There's so much. I mean, there's so much issues that need to be sorted out. You talk about them going to the capital market. We were expecting them to go this year, but the new GCO did say, look, they won't be ready until 2028.
2023. In the board meeting, I came to the board meeting to say they must go to capital market. They told me, oh yeah, I was fighting with one of the PAMSEC of the petroleum something. He said, okay, end of 23. What happened? New president came, they say it's next year. Now we are hearing stories. Yeah. This is where discipline will come in, transparency will come in, accountability will come in, prudence will come in. Nigerians will start breathing a sigh of relief.
But they are auditing. The auditing is not yet.
Have you not seen the report that there is a big hole of $50 billion this thing in their account? They have a lot to answer for. The answer to all of this is head out to the capital market, so that the oil companies will come in and take share. Wait a minute. The big oil company will take share in the company. Don't we have LNG? LNG, you have 3 big players there. And you can't play nonsense game there. And Nigeria is confidently getting our dividend. Here, we don't get. I have seen the account. They've released nothing. I've looked at the revenue mobilization and fiscal commission account. I've seen what their returns that they made. We were nothing. Just consuming all the resources. That shouldn't be.
Well, they say they are not ready.
Even the Niger Delta militants will buy shares when they go to capital market. And then when they become shareholders, they will stop this whole thing. They will make sure, now it is our own. Don't touch these pipelines. Is it not going to be an advantage? Then the big oil majors will buy share. Dangote might even buy share, but you may not be interested because they're giving you too much trouble. But all of us will buy share, and everybody, how can you say a company is owned 100% by Nigerians, but Nigerians have no say whatsoever on how it's run?
But Prof, maybe part of the fear is the fact that once they go to the capital markets, and of course, the ownership may be taken away from the government. Don't you think that fear is there? Once somebody can come in and buy as much as, if you own the largest share in NNPC, you may eventually have to become the chairman.
When Saudi Arabia went to capital market, it's only 5% that they sold. Government can sell only 10% or 20%. Government is still majority shareholder. But you now bring corporate governance. For you to be in the capital market, corporate governance, you have to meet requirements. You have to meet a level of transparency and accountability required. You can't be giving them excuse. Your account doesn't get published for 10 years. What the hell? It's not going to be possible. It is what comes with it. Who is interested in controlling what?
These are the Dangote trucks that are going to hit the roads today to deliver PMS to various retail outlets. There, you're seeing them on your screen there as well. Prof, as we begin to wrap up this conversation, or as we wrap up the conversation rather, let's look at, you've talked so much about NNPC. Let's look at the host communities. And almost every day what we hear is a Navy or Army destroying illegal refineries in the creeks. Don't you think there's a way we can harness those resources instead of destroying and setting them ablaze? Those young boys there who are using a local techniques to refine crude, is there no way we can harness their talent and develop them instead of, destroying those facilities?
Well, I've always advocated that we should bring them under regulation. It's like artisanal miners. We know that the value of the gold and lithium and expensive minerals in Zamfara and KB, we know it's over $3 billion. But the government has moved in. When America is kicking us out, kicking our people out from America, we're saying, no, these are our solid minerals, you're not going to have them free anymore, okay? If you want it, come and refine it here. This was the same step that Ghana has taken. Their currency has gone up by 50%. So the government, I commend the government for standing up, showing the rest of Africa which way to go. But you could not have turned around to say, destroy all those artisanal miners. You can't do that. Because the big mining companies are not settling in there to do the work. And then they also have their challenges, infrastructure and all of that. So the reason why you have these artisanal refiners is because there is a demand that is unmet.
And they are filling that gap.
If nobody buys whatever they are producing, whether it's condensate or refined petrol, if nobody buys it, they will never produce them after the first production.
Absolutely.
Because they're not going to drink them. They won't produce them and then pour them into the...
So they are filling a gap.
There is a demand that they are meeting. So it is about resolving that demand. And two ways to resolve it. Some of the oil marketers were complicit because they import their thing, they buy their condensate mixed petrol and then put it on the tank and pay them 70% of the price. So they're making money. And then they mix and then they come and sell. But it has to be explored because that is a major issue there and demand. The second one, of course, is that if you bring them under regulation, then you can say, okay, these are the standards for anybody who wants to do refinery, because it's no more than the modular refinery. But they said that it's very rudimental and crude. So give them the space, bring them under regulation so that they know what the minimum regulation is, get them to register and have an inspectorate regime, and then collect whatever product they produce to a secondary processing. It may be a modular refinery that they send it all to, who will now further refine. But then you now organize the condition under which they're operating so that, they are responding to a demand. They don't have employment. They sit on all this oil, and then the economy there's no economy there. So it is something that you can do consciously and then upgrade upgrade some of them so that they stop using. In fact, remember one of the things I talked about NNPC is to have strategic reserves, crude reserves. If they have 5 strategic crude reserves, those who want modular license will get crude from there. And then whenever we have shortage of supply to international market, we will take from there. That's what Saudi and America are doing. These are the things that these guys should be doing, not what they are. They're not doing anything.
A lot for us to learn, Prof. I must thank you for your time, Professor Kenny Face, an economist and, of course, a passionate, someone with very detailed knowledge of the oil and gas sector. We appreciate your time, as always.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. With that, a wrap on the show today. We'll be back again on Monday. I am Yusuf Akogu.